Do you feel like you have some mental mess that you would like to untangle and clear up? Listen to this episode while we dive into where do we start to clear up our mental mess. Mental mess is the mess that happens when we have negative thought patterns and allow our thoughts to run wild. It happens when we don't take our thoughts captive. You know what I'm talking about. One thought leads to another, and before you know it, you're playing your own version of the telephone game, and you're probably kind of stuck wondering, how did that original thought, just like in the game, how did that original thought end up where you are now? You know what I'm talking about? Have you ever had this happen? Yeah, it's pretty common actually. But the beautiful thing is that God made our brain in a way that we can choose our thoughts about our situations. So if we choose an elevated thought, our brain actually seeks to prove that it's true. And of course, the opposite is true too, because if we choose that negative thought, our brain is going to seek to prove it true as well. Either way, our thoughts are our choice and they are what create our emotions. That must be why he teaches us to take our thoughts captive and to think on the things above. What we are talking about is meta thinking, our thoughts about our thoughts, the story we tell ourselves about us and about others, even about our circumstance. We can choose our thoughts on our story, on our history, on our situation, on our relationships. And all of this can help us to elevate our thinking. Mental and emotional health has been important from the very beginning of time. However, it has often been swept under the rug. Since so much of our mental and emotional health starts with our thoughts, we clearly need to be conscious of them, take them out from underneath the rug, and take them captive. In addition, stress, another source of our thoughts, is what we consume through the news, social media, other people, etc. Many of us are careful what we put into our mouth and our body because of the detriment we know to our physical body, but studies show that what we allow into our mind also has potential of detrimental effects when we are not guarding it. These thoughts can be as toxic as the very worst foods and other toxins if we don't keep them in check, take them captive, and see where they might be off or untrue. The enemy likes to have a heyday with toxic thoughts. If you've never read Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis, I highly recommend it, and it is a great illustration of this point. Oftentimes, a thought that we have can be true, but actually still need to be taken captive. And that is because of how it is not serving us. So if we are using even a true thought in a toxic way by dwelling on it, or maybe making it even worse than it is, that can become a toxic thought as well. And since we live in a fallen world, we have all experienced less than perfect situations, and most of us have experienced some level of trauma. Those situations or events may be true, but we may be causing ongoing harm to ourselves by retelling that story over and over. It's as if we are beating ourselves up with our own thoughts again and again. This does not serve us well at all. And those are the examples where we can choose to retell that story by looking at some element of how it has made us stronger, how those situations have served us to become the person we are today, maybe how God worked in our story. These elevated thoughts about our previous story will help to serve us much better. So clearly, the best way to untangle the mental mess starts with our thoughts. Because, as we know, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Until next time, this is my hope for you. Be sure to subscribe and share this podcast. You can find me at stephaniejohns.com or on the gram at The Hope Coach. You can even use the links in the show notes below to apply for one-on-one or group coaching and to join my email list.